Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, today's guest is Van Tucker, and he's the Vice President over at Harbor Lockers. Van, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on here. Super excited.
All right, Van. So we got a lot to talk about today. So I definitely want to get into the work that you're doing over at Harbor Lockers and really how you're creating a nationwide network of lockers, what that means, how you're helping business owners and entrepreneurs out there in delivery. So we'll get into that. But before we do, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Van, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. Van, what mission matters to you?
Yeah, great question. So, a mission that matters to us in Harvard is kind of built on empowering businesses to get things asynchronously with their customers or even their employees. So, that's a big thing when it comes to mission is really empowering everyone from small local
Mm,
businesses to offer pickup of items through lockers that may not have a brick and mortar store to
mhm,
even larger enterprises. So that's the big thing for us is help on a missions level is any business of any size,
mm.
giving them access to solutions that you usually see in a lot of larger companies.
Yeah, great. Love bringing mission-based individuals on here to share why they do what they do, how they're doing it, and how we can all learn from that and grow together. So good stuff there. I guess, Van, just to get us kicked off here, how'd you get started in business? Even before Harbor Lockers, like, where did it begin for you?
Good question. So it's kind of been part of my DNA, you can say, ever since
Mm.
I was a kid. My dad had a auto shop, and I remember getting like a business card when I was like 10 years old, my name on it. And I'm like, oh, I got a business card.
Yeah.
And that was just, and then in high school, I started a website for our friends in our local community of action
Mm,
sports. And that was a website. We did videos and a directory online. I built this whole like online community. And then that kind of got me into business from day
mm.
one in high
What year
school.
was that? What year was that? I'm curious.
Well, what year? So that'd been about
Roughly, building
2000 and
communities. That's a while
about
ago.
2001. So this
Wow.
was before blogging was officially called
Yeah.
blogging, but we had like a blog on the website and built a community up in that community kind of word of mouth in high school. It's like, hey, Van, you built
Mm,
this. Can you shoot photos of this business for me or portraits or
yeah.
video and websites? And that kind of parlayed into starting a agency, a
Mm,
local based marketing and video agency.
yeah.
And then in college, I went to school for business and entrepreneurship and then kind of started working up, building a larger agency and got really inspired of these
Mm,
businesses and hearing the stories of people building successful businesses. So, and I was lucky enough to have a great business partner where we
mhm,
built a venture studio. So we went and actually started working with startups and other entrepreneurs building their next
mm,
big idea. And we were like their technology back office, helping them everything from branding, building their business model, and then
mm,
help them grow to the next stage. So, and that's how I kind of got even to where I'm in Harbor today, is how we built this new business called Harbor Lockers that
mhm.
we'll talk about today. And all of it kind of interconnected. So that's what I've been doing for pretty much a whole life is this building, helping
Yeah.
entrepreneurs build businesses and trying to have them have an impact of a community behind it
Mm.
as well.
What do you like about working with entrepreneurs? Like, I know it's in your DNA, right, from your dad, but, like, what do you like about working with entrepreneurs?
Well, the energy that comes with working with an
Okay.
entrepreneur, they kind of built a little different of way they see the world.
Mhm.
Even like their personal life, the things a lot of these entrepreneurs do on a day-to-day basis are very inspiring and also gets you want to wake up in the morning. So,
Yeah.
with entrepreneurs is a very abstract word. It could be someone small. Like I was talking to someone yesterday where
Mm.
they do bear spray in Alaska. They're making a business where they
Did you just
are
say bear
renting
not hairspray, bear spray?
bear
Yeah, that's
spray.
what I thought you said.
And this is a very small micro business, but that entrepreneur spirit of this person building this business was amazing. You kind of hear his story of bear spray that he's building his business with and how,
Wow.
how we can potentially help him on it. So that gets me excited is people being creative, creating, solving problems, and the passion that they bring when they bring their ideas to life. And usually it's a lot of hard work. A
Yeah.
lot of times these entrepreneurs I work with have, as you hear, a lot of their businesses may not work out, but they're
Mhm.
continually just trying new and new things until something sticks.
Mm. That's amazing bear spray. I'm over here thinking about it. I'm like, okay, now that when you need it, you better have it, right?
Yeah, and it's like a thing that entrepreneurs do. They try to solve problems with
Yeah.
that they personally saw firsthand, and that is where the bear spray kind of example, this from yesterday's conversation we had, is it's a great use case of solving a problem that people go traveling
Mm,
to Alaska. There's bears.
mhm.
Bear spray is actually kind of expensive, and I realized this, but it's like $100 or more to actually buy bear
Yeah.
spray per can, like a big version of it for the big bears.
Mhm.
Um, and then they rent them in a rental model where you can actually rent them for your trip. And the vision is how they use our lockers to pick up the bear spray out of
Wow.
the lockers on a rental model where they rent it for a few days for say like $20, and you can have your whole family protected on the trip.
Hmm. That's amazing. And so speaking of lockers, I think that's a great transition. So maybe start off by just explaining exactly what Harbor Lockers is and kind of how it works.
Yeah, so Harbor Lockers is a public marketplace locker network in the United
Mhm.
States. A lot of people may in the United States specifically may have not seen lockers as much, besides like the Amazon lockers that you see
Yeah.
for when you buy things online. You can deliver them to a nearby Amazon locker. So what we
Mm.
developed is a public locker network in a similar experience, but just empowering anyone to access these lockers around the United States. So
Mm.
right now we have over 500 locations of these lockers deployed in over 80 cities. So if you just go to our website, harborlockers.com, you
Mhm.
click find a nearby locker and you can see all these different locations. And what's
Mm.
unique about us, we're like the infrastructure of lockers. So meaning we provide all these locker locations, but there's other companies that provide solutions and businesses on
Mm.
top of our network. So we have a whole marketplace. That's what we call it, the marketplace locker,
Mhm.
which is actually service providers and partners, which build other layers of services on top of the network. So the way it works is we
Mm.
put the lockers around cities, and then we have a pay per use model. When the companies use our lockers, they just rent a space in the locker for that duration, and they
Mhm.
pay us a small rental fee to use it. So it makes it very advantageous for people to access the locker to get national scale without investing all this time and energy on
Yeah.
deploying lockers.
Yeah. Who uses these lockers primarily? As you mentioned, working and helping business owners. You gave the bear spray use case scenario. Maybe give some other use case scenarios too.
Yeah, so this idea initially, we're part of a company called Luxor One, where we
Mhm.
do have we're the leader locker or manufacturer company in the United States, where we have lockers that have mostly multifamily apartment buildings, a Luxor One
Mm.
locker. And the idea is how do we take it outside of package management, multifamily apartment buildings and put them out into the public sector. So
Mm.
there's a lot of different use cases that we see these lockers. More your traditional packages is one vision,
Mhm.
but what really gets us excited is this unique use cases. Like we have people storing them for bag storage at sport venues. There's an app service called Drop Locker, which you can use the lockers at sporting venues that we place them out in
Mm.
front. You go to a concert or a Major League Baseball team game, you take an Uber there. You're like, oh man,
Mhm.
like this bag's not allowed. You can go
Yeah.
put it in the locker and you rent it for it. So that's one use case. And another use case is actually a company where you work with called Simply Bread. They
Mm.
make these ovens where bread bakers can start their own bread business. So they
Mm.
sell the oven, and they also provide some technology to manage your bakery, and they also
Mhm.
can offer the locker for a 24/7 bread pickup. So there's this
Mm.
lot of use cases where these bakers bake the bread in their home micro kitchen that they have for
Mhm.
bakery, or they may even own a bakery. They put a locker in front of their business or use one of our community lockers deployed around cities, and they drop off the
Mm.
bread, and the customers can pick them up anytime. So
Mm.
there's a variety of use cases. I would say the idea when we started this network
Mhm.
is that the best idea in use of these lockers, it still hasn't been invented yet. It's kind of like when the iPhone was built. Apple launched the
Yeah,
iPhone, they started the App Store. They never envisioned Instagram and these other apps that
for
became
sure.
huge billion-dollar technology businesses on top of the iPhone. And that's the way we see this is we're the iPhone of lockers.
Mm.
People build their own services and businesses on it. And the goal is, how do we really connect
Mhm.
physically these digital experiences to physical goods through lockers?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And like, talk about, so you mentioned the bakery side of things. So I can see lots of micro entrepreneurs using these things, but I can also see like big companies as well using this. Is this also like an enterprise solution where, where it's kind of scaled out for them?
Yeah, so one of our good partners we work with is Waymo, the self-driving cars.
Mm.
So Waymo is growing more and more around the city. That's kind of our one of our enterprise partners we work with.
Yeah.
And Waymo uses it for lost and found. So this is another use case. You're taking the self-driving car, you leave something
Mhm.
in the car, and the way it works is, Waymo's built out a full lost and found platform where people
Mm.
can leave something in the car, they put them in our lockers, and the person can come anytime and go pick up their lost and found items through the locker. So,
Yeah.
this is not just for small businesses. It could be for the Waymos and Googles of the world.
Mhm.
We also work with some other major shipping carriers and doing different pilots in other markets for that can use as the lockers as well that we'll be announcing soon more
Yeah.
publicly. But there is a lot of use cases from the small business to even the enterprise level.
What geographies are you in right currently?
Well, initially we started in Northern California. That
Mhm.
was, our headquarters were based outside of in Sacramento, but
Yeah.
now we're actually covering all of the Major League Baseball cities in the United States, and
Mm.
in over 80 cities. So we've covered most of the United States and the major
Mhm.
markets. So you can usually find at least one or two public lockers in your city, and then we
Mhm.
keep adding more and more lockers based on the demand that we have within given communities.
Hmm. How did talk to me about the kind of like the real estate side of it. Do you put these in stores, or I'm just trying to figure out like where they located at?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. How do you
Yeah.
find locations to deploy lockers? And that is like the time consuming process is
Hmm.
identifying the location and then also the time it takes to put a locker in a location. So that's kind of the main thing. We developed a locker that is drop in deploy, meaning we can put these lockers literally anywhere
Hmm.
without any need for power or internet. So that really
Interesting.
opened us up to easily find more locations because it takes away the install cost of putting the locker. It
Yeah.
makes our location host not having to pay for any power or using their internet. And so it's
Hmm.
a drop in deploy locker. So we have these lockers, initially we started putting them at your more traditional locations like gas stations,
Hmm.
shopping plazas. Now
Yeah,
we've
that's what
also
I'm thinking.
developed,
Like high traffic, kind of
yeah,
like retail areas for the most part.
exactly. Then we also built a more compact version of the locker.
Hmm.
So it's a more what we call the Anywhere Locker S, and it's a smaller form factor locker, and that lets us kind of get more locations,
Hmm.
very similar to the old newspaper stands that you see around cities.
Oh yeah.
These newspaper stands around cities are not that many people read the newspaper anymore, but these newspaper
Right.
stands are still out there in most major cities. So we work with different cities and partners. How do we deploy them out next to like a newspaper stand location
Hmm.
and making them become a more modern fixture to the community where they have this old real estate? How do we make our lockers become a new kind of edge case on
Hmm.
that? So we do have a smaller form factor locker that is very similar to a size of a newspaper stand, which let us even scale up much more quicker as well.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more about the plans to continue to scale this. Like, what does that look like as you continue to increase the blueprint of the or the footprint, I should say, of the product?
Yeah, so we're on a mission to power the world's largest locker network here at
Yeah.
Luxor One. And with that being said, there's a lot of, Amazon lockers. And if you
Mhm.
holistically look at the world, there is other lockers in Europe. So
Mm.
for us in Harbor, we're focused mostly all in North America. That's our primary
Mhm.
focus, where there is really been we're the leading company building the public locker network side of
Yeah.
things. So for us, is how do we get to 25,000 lockers over the next
Mm.
couple years is our target. And that comes in heavy, and it's got a double-edged marketplace. We need the people using the lockers. One,
Yep.
so that's us finding the right partners to drive volume through the lockers for these different use cases. And
Mhm.
then we also need to deploy the lockers. So that's a big thing for us right now, since we do
Mhm.
have over 500 lockers deployed, is driving and finding these local partners and giving communities on
Mhm.
these very unique use cases. It could be bear spray, it could be bread,
Mm.
it can be returns, it could be shipping to drive more volume, and then also working with our national partners that give more national use on the complete network. So it's a
Mm.
double-edged marketplace for us, empowering the smaller partners to
Yeah.
start the flywheel in given cities, and then as we add more density to bring in the larger shipping carriers as alternate delivery locations.
Hmm. It seems pretty sticky though. Like once, correct me if I'm off on this. Like once somebody that we'll go back to the bear spray example, or even Waymo, whatever. The example was once a company kind of integrates the lockers into its systems, they're probably not going to change anytime soon. Once they have their system down, am I off on that? Or like I don't feel like turnover is big on
Yeah, I
that.
think the stickiness of getting solving those unique
Yeah.
problems and you can integrate into the core business is
Mm-hmm.
makes it very sticky to the customers for us. And
Yeah.
then also how our business model is in a partnership model where
Mm-hmm.
we do it as revenue share or pay per use model on the technology, so it lets them scale much more friendly. And then
Yeah.
also one thing we didn't talk about is we also support the lockers, meaning
Mm.
these businesses want to do bear spray. They want to do self-driving cars. They don't want to think about lockers. So
Yeah.
we actually have technicians and support on these lockers. So say someone somehow has a lock issue, it
Mm-hmm.
gets graffitied or something, or it needs to be cleaned. We also service our network as well.
Mm.
So they can just focus on delivering amazing product and experience to their customers. They don't need
Mm-hmm.
to think about the lockers. We manage that for our partners.
Yeah, that makes a bunch of sense, and in terms of having the service network there, and I feel like when as the blue, it's going to create more jobs and more opportunity there too as well, especially in these different markets as the saturation or the penetration of these lockers takes place. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's cool and it's interesting to see, and I can think about like some of the lockers I've used in the past, and when I lived in different areas where it made sense to. And I'm like, yeah, now that I think about it, that was integrated in my habit. If I didn't move out of those areas, I'd probably still be using those lockers, man. Like that's
Yeah,
just the way it works.
especially if you live in an apartment building,
Yeah.
it kind of gets built into that whole ecosystem, and
Hmm.
that's where it's getting built more
I
and
might be
more.
using your lockers now in my high rise. I
Yeah,
think that
if you
might
open up
be.
your phone right now, look, if you see the name, it could say Luxor One, and that's the company that we're part of.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, Van, I mean, this has been great having you on today and learning more about what you're doing over at Harbor Lockers. What's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for the company? Talk to me.
Yeah, like what's next for us is just making it easier to use our lockers. That's the main goal.
Mm,
Reduce the friction so people can say, hey, like you, we want to use the
yeah.
locker. How do we make it so easy for people to come use the lockers? And that's in a couple different models. One is empowering the partners that we work with to provide
Hmm.
very easy experiences to their customers. Because again, we're this kind of behind the scene
Yeah.
locker technology provider, almost like the power lines to your house. It's like, oh, who does the power lines? I don't know. The power just comes in, the light comes on. So, for us is, how do we work with it, making it easier to have our customers use the lockers? And then
Hmm.
what's a big thing for next for us is just making some more and more turnkey solutions for
Mm,
different sizes of businesses. So, say if someone did want to do vending through the locker, such as bear
mm,
spray. They can use our lockers to without any technology needs. Turnkey. They come to us, hey, I want to vend bear spray in the lockers.
mm.
We have some turnkey basic software that can be used for these smaller businesses that don't have the technology resources in-house to
Yeah.
integrate it like the big companies like Waymo and things that can build out their own custom workflows. So that's how we see the future is,
Mhm,
empowering with turnkey solutions. And these turnkey solutions don't mean it's only for the small businesses.
mhm,
It can also be for the larger enterprises to spin out pilots faster. That's one thing
mm,
you would see at the enterprise level. They have creators and ideas and entrepreneurs in house thinking of these unique problems
mhm,
to solve. And then we want to solve it. Then they say, oh, we need to incorporate our development team. Then you're like, oh,
mm.
our development team is booked for the next 24 months. There's no way we're going to get resources to integrate a new API or a new piece of technology. If we can
Yeah.
say, hey, X person at company,
Mhm,
we got a turnkey solution where you don't need developers to try this out at a micro and a pilot basis to really
mm.
show the return on investment, the cost savings, how you improve your operational experience, be more competitive with that. So that's where we see the future is developing some more turnkey solutions that
Mm.
let people do pilots in smaller businesses get started faster with using lockers.
Amazing. Van, how do people, well, there's businesses, the end user, I mean, how do people follow up? How do they learn more?
Yeah, so the way you find more, you go to our website, harborlockers.com.
Hmm.
There you can find our marketplace of lockers where it shows our different partners that use the lockers. In addition, if you're interested in incorporating it into your business, you can
Hmm.
just hit the book a demo button there. That would schedule a demo with our team, and then kind of we can learn more about your business and how we can incorporate lockers into your business model.
Amazing. And for everybody watching, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so you can just click on them and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So, again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Van, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.